Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called Sweden's Unique Dating Culture, 5 Things to Expect When Dating in Sweden, Just a Brit Abroad. Obviously, it's a British person that's dating in Sweden. I don't really know how different things could get in Sweden, but I don't think it's that surprising to me that things are just like different in general because, well, obviously it's a different culture, it's a different country. And more specifically, I would think it's hard because if my understanding it's that Swedes are very like reserved people and very shy. So I'm wondering I'm guessing it's gonna be hard to date over there because like people are so reserved and pretty like in their own circle that if you're a foreigner or just you're an immigrant or you're visiting or whatever, but you're just like you're the outsider, you're not gonna be able to like connect or like ask people out. I don't know, but I'm very curious. So let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
Today, I'm caving into the pressure. I'm answering probably the most requested video topic that I ever get on this channel. I'm pretty sure that if I added up all of the times I've been given this video idea by you guys in the comment sections of my videos or on my social media accounts, I'd be well into my hundreds by this point. So I just couldn't ignore you any longer. It was time. Today, we're going to be talking about dating in Sweden. And I have to level with you guys, this one feels like a bit of a strange topic for me to be discussing today. Because like so many other people, I moved to Sweden because of a relationship. So why would I be talking about...
Of course, yeah, he's already has a relationship. So of course it's like, what do you know about dating in Sweden? You've never done it.
About what it's like to date in Sweden when I've never dated exclusively here before. Yes, I'm sure we'll get into it in another video sometime soon, but me and my girlfriend met in the UK and then I migrated over here because she was coming back here. So therefore, I've never dated somebody here in Sweden. I've never been through that process before. We were already together. That said, the requests for this video just keep flooding in, so I decided it was time to go out there and get some advice.
She's the one that should be talking about this, the girlfriend.
So I'm making this video based on insights that I've seen or insights that I've got from friends out here in Sweden that are dating. So I guess you could say that lots of the things that I'm going to be discussing today are quite general. They're not necessarily my own experiences. It's just what I've picked up about what it's like to date here in Sweden from the people that are doing it. So without any further ado, I know this is something that you guys are dying for me to get into. So let's just get started, shall we? The first thing that you really need to keep in mind when you're dating here in Sweden is what I'm calling manners and pleasantries. Because we've talked before about the fact that here in Sweden, people are quite direct and dating is no different. And I'm sure that this is something that you notice more if you come from a country like me, like the UK, where it's quite normal that you're expected to be quite polite and quite courteous when you're first dating. What I mean by that is that it's still quite normal in the UK that the guy will hold the door open, for example, for the girl to let her through first. Gentleman. Or that maybe he'll offer to carry her bags, for example. That's a big no-no here in Sweden. And don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily saying that this is a bad thing. In fact, it's all part of the Swedish effort to be a more equal society. The girl can very well hold the door open for herself. She can...
Okay, yes, I know. Oh, absolutely, yes. But I think it's polite to like, it's very gentlemanly, I think, to open someone's door or the car door. I think, you know, more men should be raised like that. So I'm sorry, I don't agree with this.
Very well hold her own bags. So there's kind of a big push not to try and do something for them that they're clearly very capable of doing themselves. And as I say, no problem with that at all. It makes a lot of sense. It's just not something that you're prepared for if you come from the UK, for example. And I know from experience that the Swedes aren't alone in the world in thinking that it's odd that in the UK, when we come and greet you, we will ask, are you okay? They think that that implies that there's something wrong with them.
Wrong with you?
Do they have a spot on their face? Do they look ill? Am I wearing the weird clothes? All of those things are going through their heads when you ask, are you okay? So if you're in Sweden or perhaps any other European country for that matter, maybe consider asking how are things or hur är läget here in Sweden instead. And that leads me nice...
That's really funny because it's true. It's like, I haven't thought of this, but yeah, if someone asks you, are you okay? Like, you're implying like, okay, was there something wrong with me? I'm sorry, do I look bad? On
to my second point on the list of things to consider when you're dating here in Sweden for the first time, and that's that things tend to be a lot less formal. And I mean, should we really be so surprised about this one? Have you been to a Swedish workplace, for example? They're not dressing up for the occasion, so nor should you when you go out for a date. And actually, the whole concept of a date is a lot less formal and a lot more casual here in Sweden. Sweden. So for example, in the UK, it's normal that when you go on a date, you go into the cinema or a restaurant, for example.
Yeah.
That's not the done thing here in Sweden.
Oh.
In fact, lots of people would probably prefer that you take them for a fika or you go for a walk, because then it's a lot shorter time span. You're not together for so long.
Great idea, because if the date goes wrong, you're like, sorry, gotta run. I only have a fika break for like half an hour, which, you know, makes sense if you're just starting to get to know someone.
If it's awkward, they don't have to make excuses to leave. Okay, jokes aside, even if it's going really well, the benefit of making sure that your date doesn't lag on more than it has to is it doesn't make a bigger deal out of things. In fact, that added pressure can make things a little bit uncomfortable for your Swedish friends. So if you keep it simple, you keep it light touch, you keep it to a walk or maybe an out into the park or a fika, then everything's going to go swimmingly. And if you can...
I think that's nicer as well, because I think a common date, I think, in other places besides Sweden is like going to catch a film or something, but it's like we can't actually like talk, so it's like we're just seeing the same thing. So it's not like there's our interaction is basically zero unless you actually like go out to dinner or do something afterwards, and then you can like discuss the movie. But I think in general, it's just like I've never really understood like why you want to go to like see a film with someone as a date. It's like I can't talk to you. How am I gonna know you?
Consider them a Swedish friend, like I just called them. You've definitely been friend zoned. Consider looking for someone else. And that brings me nicely on to the third thing on my list today of things to consider when you're dating in Sweden. Because even if you are lucky enough to find someone that wants to go on a romantic dinner, let me tell you what, it's not normal that you will be paying for that.
Also, the question, do they, like, when there's an established couple, is it normal to go on romantic dates, as in, like, dinner, or is that, like, frowned upon, even when you already have a relationship with that person?
If you're the guy, in fact, it's a lot more normal that you split it between you. Yeah, I have to admit, this is one of the ways that we're really different between Sweden and the UK. Because don't get me wrong, we're all for everybody paying for their own.
Yeah.
You've heard of rounds before, for example, when you go to the pub. It's very normal that you all contribute. But when it comes to a date, at least for the first handful, it's very normal that the guy will offer to pay. I mean,
I think that depends, and I think it's been a switch like in the like, I don't know, last few years. I think it's more like equal. Like it just depends on the person. I think usually, like, forget what I just said. It just depends on the person. Some people expect the men to pay. Others are gonna feel, other women gonna feel offended. It's like, no, we'll go Dutch. Like everyone pays half and half, or I'll pay this. No, because you can say like I pay this and you'll pay the other, but it's just a first date. Like chances are maybe we're not gonna go on a second date. So it's like maybe each one of them like pays their half and it's okay, whatever.
Maybe they might not want to, but they'll definitely offer every time. And to be honest with you, it's probably things like Swish that are making it so easy for people to always get used to paying for themselves. They do it when they're with their friends. Why wouldn't they do it with you too? It's normal that you're going to pay for your own. You want to make sure that you contribute as equally as the other person. And I like that. Is it not admirable that everybody wants to pay for their own here in Sweden? In fact, I see it as a big benefit because then we can go on twice the amount of dates because I've only paid for half of it. The fourth thing that's on my list today is something that I think you will have experienced very differently depending on where you grew up, because the concept of kissing here in Sweden is a little bit different. Okay, that one sounded a bit weird. Let me backtrack and explain. Okay, let me break this one down for you. If you come from, for example, France or Italy, perhaps you've grown up with the tradition of kissing people on both cheeks when you first meet them as a greeting. And then if you come from the UK, perhaps you come from the tradition that when you go out on a date, you're going to kiss the girl on the cheek at least before you leave. And don't get me wrong, feel the room. If that's not something that the other party is looking for, definitely don't be doing it. But either way, it's way more normal here in Sweden that you hug people. It doesn't matter what gender you are, what background or association you have. Unless you're at the workplace, you're probably hugging to say hello and goodbye. Because let's be honest, it would be a little bit weird to be hugging your boss at the end of each day. But you catch my drift. When you meet somebody at the start of the date, whether you're the guy or the girl, you're probably hugging the other person. You're not going to kiss them. So I guess that all of you continental Europeans out there watching my videos can consider this fair notice. It's not normal that you kiss people on both cheeks here, so maybe don't do it because people will give you weird looks. And
I find that incredibly funny because to me a hug is more intimate than just a kiss on the cheek. So it's just like, okay.
Moving on from weird looks, another look that you might not be used to here in Sweden is the fifth thing on my list today of things that you need to consider when you're dating in Sweden, and that's that the Swedes are an outdoorsy bunch. And if outdoorsy isn't a good look on you, it's time to shape up. What do I mean by that? Well, we've talked
camping.
before about the fact that Swedes tend to be a lot more handy as a population. Girls or guys, there's no exception. And they love spending a lot of time outside. So you might find that the kind of date that you go on here in Sweden is a little bit different to what you're used to. Of course, unless you're living in Stockholm, and then it's probably quite similar to the rest of the world. But elsewhere in Sweden, if you're going on dates, expect to be spending a lot more time out and about. If it's the winter, maybe you're going skating together. If it's the summer, maybe you're building a bonfire and roasting pancakes or marshmallows. And even if you're sitting pretty right now because you think you're...
That would be like a very weird date, but looks interesting, I think. You know, roasting no, it was pancakes, not marshmallows. That would be normal.
In the clear, because you're quite an outdoorsy person in your home country, I really recommend that you look up the term friluftsmänniskor, because that's a term that exists here in Sweden for the type of person, the characteristic person who likes to spend their time outdoors, out and about. And it might be a bit different to what you're used to in your home country.
Oh my God, I'm
have
scared.
you been out and about ice fishing on a first date before? Nope. How about kayaking? Still a no. That's why you need to get prepared, because Swedish dating life is a little bit different to what you might be used to.
Okay,
and
very
if you're
different.
not ready and you're not on board, it might come as a shock. And I'm glad to say that we've made it through this video without me having to give away any personal dating advice. So I hope that you've learned something from this video. I hope there's something you can take away. If you have dated yourself here in Sweden, well, not dated yourself, but you know what I mean, dated someone else for the first time here in Sweden, maybe you can go down into the comments below and give more advice, because you're talking from first-hand experience. I didn't start a relationship here, so it's hard for me to say much more than that. So check the comments down below if you're looking for advice. I'm sure there's someone that will be down there to help you out. And I hope that you like this video. You certainly asked for it, so make sure you drop me a like if you haven't done so already. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. New videos all the time. I clearly talk about the topics you guys want me to talk about, so make sure you subscribe, because then you'll be the first to know when there's a new video out. Until then, thanks for watching again. I hope you've had a great day. Happy dating, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye guys.
Okay, yeah, I think a lot of interesting things about this. I believe, I think the most shocking part to me was the last part of like, they're outdoorsy. And it's like, yeah, sure, I'm thinking, but when you say outdoorsy as in like a first date, you're like getting into like in the knowing stages, I would assume, well, take a walk in the park, maybe go hiking if you're into that, or maybe those things I think are probably like the most common ones. But like going ice fishing, it's like what? That's not a thing. And also like maybe ice skating, yes, in the winter, that could be nice, I think. And also maybe I'm wondering like something like skiing, but that's just like more extreme. But maybe again, it's like the skating, the very traditional, very like I think I consider that a little bit like old fashioned, but I think, you know, it's like, okay, it's nice. The ice fishing though, that's quite intense. I don't know, like you would ask them like, what are you okay with like fishing? I don't know, like I've never fished before. And also kayaking, which I think it's like an activity that's like very specific. So it's like, it wouldn't occur to me to ask someone like, hey, do you want to go kayaking like this weekend or whatever? Like, hey, what could we do? Unless I specifically like, no, they're into this, because again, like kayaking to me is such a like very specific hobby. It's like asking someone to, I don't know, like go bowling. Well, maybe go bowling is more general. I don't know, I'm trying to do like in this kayaking thing, just something like, I don't know, maybe reading a book. Like I know not everyone likes to read for like pleasure, so maybe this is the sort, like I wouldn't buy a book for someone that I know doesn't like to read. So I think this is like akin to that sort of like, why would we go kayaking if I don't really know if you're into this? So it is very strange to me to just put it out there as like a normal sort of like a date activity. Unless, you know, just normal, like going to have coffee or going to dinner, because it's like, okay, I'm not into this. Like, why would I want to go kayaking? Like, that sucks. So it is a little bit strange to me and quite shocking. If they're expecting you to actually be okay with like, hey, do you want to go kayaking? And it's like, sure, I guess. I'm not super into this, but whatever. It's like, you have to be like, that's the baseline. You have to like fishing, and you have to actually like kayaking as well in order to date people, to date Swedish people. I'm sorry, that will be, I think, maybe that's just me, but I would find it quite hard, because like I'm not into those kind of activities. I don't think so. It's like, especially for a first, well, I don't know, like maybe for an established couple, maybe you want to try new things, and it's like, oh well, let's give this a shot. I think it would be more appropriate to me, because it's just like, I don't know, we already know each other, so it's like, let's try and see if we like this. But for a new couple, that's not even a couple because you're just like getting to know them. It's a little strange. Like, this is not an activity that I know we both enjoy. So why would we do this? I think like maybe the problem is the outside of Stockholm. Because like he mentioned, like in Stockholm, date activities are quite, I think, more normal, or what most people would expect as to be seen as normal. So because it's less outdoors in general, so it's maybe okay. Well, sure, I think I would be into it. So if I ever find myself like interested in dating, specifically in Sweden, I think I would just like date in Stockholm. Because the other thing, I'm like this is a little strange to me, a little too weird, especially to go fishing on a first date. That sounds terrible. That sounds awful. Why would I want to go and like watch a fish die? Unless you're maybe doing the catch and release. But I think that's awful because you're putting the fish through like a lot of trauma, and you're not even, because I can maybe understand. I know the concept of fishing, and it's like we're getting fishes and we're eating them later, which is like, it's food. Well, yeah, sure, I can allow that. But if you're doing the catch and release, it's like you're putting the fish through like through trauma just because of like, hey, I caught a fish. It's like, okay, put it back, like poor fish. I again, it's just like, to me, I'm not comfortable with the idea of going fishing and watching like the fish die. That's not my idea of a good time. And watching also the fish struggling to breathe if you're doing the catch and release, that's not romance. No, that's not romance. That's not fun. That's not even like a fun group activity that I would do with friends, because it's like, to me, that sucks. I don't want to see the fish like getting harmed. But again, maybe that's just like a personal thing. So I don't know. I'm more into like the fika situation, or maybe like a walk in the park, or what was the other thing he mentioned? Like maybe going hiking as well. Like those are, I think, normal things, sort of. Again, maybe fika is the one that I think would be most normal for a lot of people, whether you're Swedish or not, because it's like, again, it gives you the opportunity to sit down with the other person and talk, which is like the point of dating, right? Like if you're going on a first date, or a first like couple of dates, you're getting to know someone. That's the whole point of the dating process. So how am I gonna get to know you? Again, if we're seeing a movie, like we're not talking, we're not actually interacting with each other. If we're hiking, I think that's more normal, but again, maybe depends on like how steep like the hike is. Some hikes are quite hard. So it's like if you are going into like in this uphill mountain, then it's like we're not actually talking, because it's like, hey, I'm like, hey, are you okay back there? It's like, yes, I'm doing good. But it's like you're not actually like sitting down talking, because you're like puffing and huffing, or you're interested in like, no, I'm going hiking because I want to go like get my heart rate up, and I want to do like some sort of physical exercise. So it is a little bit of like, I don't care about you, I just want to go faster. So it's like, again, maybe hiking, but maybe if it's like a normal sort of like a light hike of like through the woods, well, yeah, sure, that could be akin to, again, walking in the park, and you can just talk and get to know each other, which I think it's like, again, ideal situation. The others, I'm a little bit like, this is a little strange to me. Again, with the whole kissing and hugging as well, I understand it's not their culture to actually like kiss. I think kissing is a very like kissing, not actual like kissing as friends. It's very, as a greeting form, I think it's a very European thing. But yeah, as they said, like continental mainland Europe, I think that's a thing. Like in Europe, it's just normal. But again, in Sweden, I'm surprised by the fact that they actually like hug, like when you're just like getting to know someone, like you're hugging them. Because it's like for people that are like so reserved and so, I don't know, like they value like their own like personal space, it's weird that they're like so into hugging. It's like, I would expect like a handshake, like, hey, it's like, or maybe not even a handshake, just like a hello, and that's it. But I think also like that depends a lot on so many factors. I think that varies a lot, not even just country to country. I think it just varies like person to person, because some people are just like friendlier in general. And even I'm wondering if that's the case. Maybe that's the case. Like in Sweden, you're not gonna find this, but I think I can think of like so many other places in the world where it just depends on the person. And some people are just like incredibly friendly, and they'll like when you're meeting them for the first time, they'll hug you and be like super nice. Others are like quite more reserved. They're also like they value their personal space, and they'll when you're just meeting them, they'll shake your hand and that's it. Even if it's just like a date, which I'm like, well, it depends on how you guys know each other. So it's like, assuming it's not a blind date and you're just like you already know them. So it's like hello, maybe a hello would be like a kiss on the cheek. I think that would be a baseline, a normal baseline for most people. I would assume you're not greeting them with a handshake. That would be a little a little strange. But maybe a hug, a hug it would be nice. I think it's like it's friendlier, so it's good. It's friendlier than maybe again a kiss on the cheek, because I think again the kisses are more. I think to me they're less intimate for some. It sounds crazy, but I just how I see it, because a kiss is just like a little kiss and that's it. It's just a peck. It's not actually a kiss, you know. We're making out. No, it's just like it's a kiss on the cheek. But a hug implies, you know, we're actually getting into each other's space and we're hugging. So it is a little bit more intimate. So it's a little bit like, oh, okay, unless it's like one of those one arm hugs, that's just like hey, that's it. It's not actually how intimate can the hug get. Maybe it's just when he means hug, it's just like a hug and that's it, and not an actual like, oh, can I hug you? And I'm just like hugging you completely, which I think will be appropriate to like friends or, you know, your partner or your family, you know, people that you actually like know. It's just like, oh, we're hugging now. We're like an actual hug of we're hugging for real. So I could see, you know, there's like so many different levels to even hugging. And that's like that to me, I think they're quite interesting. I think we can, you know, there's like the forms of like connection and physical contact. I think like it could mean a lot of things for a lot of people. Yes, this was very interesting, and those to me I think were like the two most, or the three. I think there were like three things that were like the most shocking to me that I didn't expect that to happen in Sweden. So now I know, and it's like good to know in order for if I ever find myself in that situation in the future. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.